What exactly is final expense insurance?
Final expense insurance, typical clientele, the target demographic are seniors between the ages of 55 and 85.
Why is final expense such a growing industry?
Baby boomers. Why it's still growing. There's thousands of people turning 65 every single day.
Who typically buys final expense policy?
Seniors. The majority of these people that are buying these products are people that are in that age group. Something has happened when they're reaching out because they had a policy possibly through work and they lost it. Through a series of unfortunate events, they found themselves 55, 65, 70 years old and don't have coverage. Some of them do have it, but they may have taken out 8 to 10,000, maybe 12,000, 10 years ago to give themselves some cushion. And now that cushion is not enough. They would rather have a little extra, if possible, for their children to pay for those expenses than to have, too little and the kids still have to figure out a way to pay for that expense.
Why do families need this type of coverage?
At the end of the day, when something happens to you, do you want to leave your family members a bill, or do you want to leave them some cash to take care of this expense? Relying on the thought that maybe your kids, have enough money or they have it put away. There's too many variables, and you never know what your family's financial situation is going to be on the date that you pass.
Is final expense a recession-resistant industry?
100%. Yeah, the bulk of our clientele are on a fixed income. I'm not chasing people down and making payment adjustments due to their paycheck cycle. They're on a fixed income. They're getting paid once a month from Social Security or a pension, or a combination of both. When you're meeting with these clients, the most important thing is to make sure you're scheduling a payment that is comfortable for them every single month. It's very recession-proof. I've been in the industry for going on 11, 12 years. I've been licensed, and when I first started, I dealt with people in the workplace, in the workforce. These folks need a whole life product that's going to be there no matter what their age is when they pass away. If you're doing your job correctly, listening to them when you're selling the product, not overselling that monthly payment, it should be very reasonable for them on a monthly basis. And they should be fine. I forgot the question.
Why do so many agents start their careers in final expense?
The final expense industry itself, I just think it's something you're hearing about a lot. When I got licensed originally, I didn't know what final expense was. I was selling for the first year and a half fully underwritten life insurance products. A lot of people are getting into life insurance and final expense specifically because it's a flexible career. You're dealing with people that are, for the most part, at home. They're retired. They are on a fixed income. Flexibility-wise, whether I'm doing this as telesales or doing it as a field agent, going out and knocking on doors, they are. It makes it a lot easier to get started. Having to schedule all of your time around people's ability to meet with you after 5 o'clock, after 6 o'clock, around their kids' sporting schedules and school schedules and their extracurriculars. But in final expense, it's traditionally a one and done. I'm making a phone call, going over the information, and closing them at the end. The same thing in the home. So it's an easy product. It's a simple product itself to sell. So it's easy for somebody who comes into the industry that doesn't really have a whole lot of knowledge about these products to grasp. There's not a whole lot of work that needs to go into the back end in order for somebody to be able to sell the product.
How does final expense differ from traditional life insurance? What makes final expense easier for new agents compared to other insurance markets?
I'll steer this towards, if you get a job at a brick and mortar, you're not specializing in anything, first off. You're handling anything that people come in the door for. And on the back end of that, their bread and butter is typically property and casualty. So you're going to spend 60 to 70% of your time chasing chargebacks. You're chasing chargebacks. With life insurance, if you've sold it right, especially final expense, making sure you're in that budget range, people don't want to cancel their funeral arrangements. After the first 3-4 payments, gotten used to it, you're typically not going to lose them. And it's not like other products. It's a simpler product. They're not chasing all the headaches that come.
Do you need prior insurance experience to succeed?
No, not at all. In some circumstances, it might hurt you. Depends on where you're coming from and how willing you are to let go of that experience that you're bringing with you. We will train unlicensed agents. You just have to be willing to put yourself out there, talk to people. Whatever you did in your past life, you've got to be willing to take feedback. Be coachable. Listen to what your new hire manager, your training manager, whoever is helping you get started in the business. Listen to them. Pick their brain. They, especially people that have been here 5-10 years or been in the industry for a long period of time. They have experienced pitfalls, and our job as training managers is to help you avoid as many of those as possible that we went through. It was the same thing for the mentors and the people that trained me, developed my skills. Their goal was to help me avoid some of the headaches and mistakes that they went through. And the coming from other insurance agencies, typically if you're reaching out, if I'm putting an advertisement for a position and you're reaching out and you're working at another agency, 90% of the time people tell me they're looking for leads or it's contract size, and those are great. But if you're less than a year in the business and I'm your second or your third call, either you haven't been trained at all, nothing else matters. If you can't sell a policy, I don't care how good your contract is or how good the leads are. If you don't know what you're doing, you don't have anybody to walk you through that process. You're not reaching out to an ad for another final expense company or life insurance job, whatever you're looking for. Something's going through your head that day. You see this and you click. You're fed up with where you're at. More than half of those people haven't been properly trained. You have to be willing to give up some of that bad training that you've got in order to be successful if you're ready to take this career seriously.
What kind of person thrives in this industry?
Self-motivated people, for one thing. You've got to be hungry. I hate to say it. Some of the people that I know 10 years into the industry, specifically doing final expense, that were doing this before I started, around the same time I got into it, maybe even a few years later. The biggest success stories I've ever seen came into this business broken. They had nowhere else to go but up. The people that typically don't make it, I don't want you to not be able to pay your bills. This is a hard business. It's an easy product, but it's a hard business. It's a people business. Unless you have been doing some form of door-to-door sales or telesales, cold calling, and have been working 100% commission, you don't eat if you don't go out and kill something. You're not used to it. And if you are relying on side gigs and that paycheck, you got to remember why you're even considering doing this. If you're not willing to let that go, start fresh, and again, be coachable. Reach out 100%. We should be communicating, or you should be communicating with your hiring manager, your training manager on a daily basis, several times a day. It should be. I should be hearing from that new agent more times than I do my children and my wife. It should feel borderline like a second relationship, because we can only be there in the field with you or sitting next to you or on a Zoom call with you while you're making calls so many times. There's only so many circumstances we're going to be able to be on your hip while you're going through this. So every single interaction that you have with a client is going to be pretty much something you haven't come across for the first few months, maybe even the first couple of years. It starts to phase out, but you need to be coachable. You need to be willing, humble yourself enough to ask questions, to make sure you're doing everything you can. Once you get good, once you've established your baseline, don't give up on that training. Don't give up on reaching out. now it's time to get better, to improve on that. If you come in and you know how much money you've got to make on a monthly basis. I mean, when I hire somebody, somebody told me a long time ago that your BAM, your bare ass minimum, how much money you need to make to pay your bills on a monthly basis. That's what I'm going to figure out. I'm going to work the numbers backwards from the years of data that I got on the average premium that we sell in the field or over the phones to show you exactly what you need to do, what that takes, how many doors, how many contacts, how many phone calls, how many presentations you need to do on a daily and weekly basis to make those deposits. Everybody's number is different. What you want to make versus what it's going to take to keep you being able to go to work every day are two different things. I want to help you reach that top goal, but we got to make sure you can afford to wake up and go to work every day too. I don't want the quickest way to fail in this business is to start doing side gigs. Okay, yeah, you don't know. There's no guarantee that you're going to sell this person a policy, but if you get to the point where you're working a system and you're letting the numbers work for you, it's very simple. On a daily basis, you know how many people you need to talk to deposit $500 to $1,000 or more. Okay, and once you get to that number, your bills are paid, everything's on cruise control, and you're growing. Now, it's it's even more important. How do I get better? How do I close? How do I increase that percentage? How do I increase my referral rate? Sometimes it's as simple as just telling you got to ask somebody, hey, who do you know that I could take care of, like we just took care of you today. Just asking, making sure that's part of your daily habit for every single person you talk to. But those are the types of people that succeed. It's just need to be coachable, willing to follow a system that's been put in place for decades by people who have made this industry what it is. This business creates millionaires. And
you need an insurance license.
Yes, you absolutely do. It's not extremely difficult. We can help walk you through all of that. I think it's about $40 for the class. You should be able to knock that out in 3-4 days. And then you take the test and filing fee with the state of Ohio and your background, and you're ready to go. Realistically, somebody actually is ready to go. You start. I send you all the information on Monday. You enroll in class. Unless there's some hiccup with the scheduling for your state exam, you could potentially be licensed by Friday morning and contracted with us by the afternoon.
What states can you even sell in?
I don't know. I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't know all of them off the top of my head. There's 30-some states that Senior Life is in, so you can sell in any state that Senior Life is actively marketing in.
What support do new agents get when starting out?
So, I mean, there's tons of support coming your way. You have, we've got training manuals, scripts, field agents. I'm going to ride with you, helping you get your presentation down. You've got live bodies to talk to. Some of these companies, they literally record a few YouTube videos or Vimeo videos, and they send it to you, and they're like, "Hey, call me." Once, maybe even once a day. There's a group Zoom call with 100 people, and every week it's the same 3, 4, 5 top producing agents in that organization. But the training in some of these companies gets down to these big hype meetings. Those Zooms, those trainings, anytime that you have a group of top agents on the phone, the whole purpose of that should be for new agents to make sure they can dig in, ask questions, reach out.
What does the first 30 days usually look like for a new agent?
So the first 30 days, just say like a new field agent. The Saturday or the Sunday before you're starting, we've scheduled you to start. You're right along on Monday morning. I'm going to get the scripts, the door knock presentation, the sales presentation in your hands. So, prior to day one, so -1 and 2, you should be spending as much time as possible on making sure you have that down, that it can flow out of your mouth without reading it. You're not going to be perfect. Nobody ever is. But somebody that knows a little bit of it is better than somebody that's trying to learn it the first time they're sitting down in front of somebody. And then the first few days, we're writing together. my job at that point is to make sure I'm getting you in as many conversations as possible. From door approach, scheduling the appointments with people, and doing the presentations and some sales. You're going to see all of that. Unfortunately, again, it's not going to be enough. The compared to somebody that's been doing this for a year, but your first couple of days is getting you comfortable with the process. It's not a difficult process. It's just making sure you're seeing how it's done, what that flow looks like. And then usually Wednesday, we're starting to trade places. I'm taking the back seat. I'm still writing with the agent. I'm going to be in the house for the presentations, the whole 9 yards, to help them, with that close. Something is inevitably going to come up that you may need help with. And with me being right there, you don't have to worry about, hey, give me a second, let me call my manager, let me check on this for you. I'm right there. And it helps build your confidence, get that flow going. Usually by Thursday, you're on your own. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, you're out, you're working. And the plan is to get that agent a couple of deals on their own, that you're doing this by yourself. And either way, that's going to determine how many more days I spend with you that second and third week. But regardless, that first month in the field, have a serious conversation with your spouse or significant other. If you're younger and you've got friends and family, you don't really, you're on your own. That's fine too. Let people know you're not going to be available. Don't get roped into happy hours on Friday just because you're in your car. One of the biggest misconceptions and one of the struggles a lot of agents have with this, no matter where their head's at, your friends and family in the beginning are just going to think, hey, Will can do this, Tom can do this. Hey, can you grab this? I know you're doing this thing now where you're just kind of out driving. Don't answer that phone call. They'll come, but your first 30 days, you need to focus 100% of your time on this. Holidays happen. I've got 4 kids, 2 more on the way in the next 10, 12, 15 days, something like that. I'm going to have 6 kids. That would not stop me from doing this today. And that's not just because I know I'm just too damn hungry. Putting the brakes on any of the extracurriculars is what you really need to do. And even probably for the first 6 months, beyond that, focus on what's really important. If you're like, this is April. Somebody starts today. 4th of July really isn't that far around the corner. Okay, celebrate, see some fireworks, whatever. They don't let fireworks off till 10 o'clock. Even most of my friends, most of the hillbillies that I know, we buy them from the roadside places. We're not letting them off till it's dark. And just because I'm letting them off on Monday and somebody else is doing it Tuesday and the city's doing it Wednesday, you don't have to take 3 or 4 days. You can take a day and celebrate with the people for whatever's going on. The important things, and that, 3 o'clock, man, I should be fishing or golfing trip, earn it. And you'll know if you're able to do that within that first 30 days.
What mistakes do new agents usually make?
Not reaching out. Can't preach on that enough. I have trained hundreds of agents in my career, and I can pretty much tell how far they're going to make it, especially the ones that fly day two, day 3, if I'm already getting the call at the end of the day. Call your upline, talk to your manager, talk to your trainer after every single conversation you have with somebody. Mary's not home, call your upline. No, not if the door doesn't open. But if somebody opens that door, there's 3 cars in the driveway, and they tell you Mary's not here, call your upline. You wrote the policy, call your upline. They said they made it all the way through the presentation. Thought you did everything great. You should also record your presentations. Play it back for yourself. Send them your upline. The worst case, call your upline. Call your manager. We can't help if you don't tell us what's going on. And if you've had 4, 5, 6 interactions with people from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m., you're calling me at 7:30, 8 o'clock after you've gotten situated, maybe got a bite, you're on your way home, you're exhausted, you're not remembering everything you're going through.
What advice would you give someone starting from scratch?
Keep it simple. This is a simple industry, simple business. Don't um, don't fall in the trap of all the extra stuff. You'll inevitably start seeing things on your feed because you're in a new career. You're looking at insurance. You're looking at final expense. You're seeing agents. So if you're a field agent, because for whatever reason you're a field agent, there's no right or wrong way. Telesales is amazing. It allows you to save a lot of miles in your car, but telesales, the persistency is still statistically 12 to 15% lower than face-to-face sales. So you have the opportunity to sell more deals, but you also have the opportunity to lose more of them because they don't know you. You're just a person over the phone. Uh, Door knocking, field agent can be just as grueling. Um, one's good for different reasons. So for whatever path you're on that you chose that made the most sense for your career, stick with it. Stick with it. Don't listen to people that are doing telesales if you're a field agent. Don't get bogged down if you're making the phone calls, doing the dials, and your presentations aren't going through. Telesales is going to be harder for most people in the beginning to get those first initial sales and get really good at it. You got to put the time and the training into yourself. I don't care what career or what sport you're talking about. You could have been the top car salesman coming into this. You could have been the best, I don't know, roof guy. Sold the most out of anything ever at whatever company you came from. If you haven't dealt with seniors in this market who get hammered by everything for seniors, people coming to the door, people calling them on the phone, whatever your focus is, stay in your lane, get good at it, then make a decision. Or things change. You decided out of the gate you wanted to do telesales, and if you're like me, as much as the concept sounds awesome, it's very hard for me to sit still in anywhere for that amount of time. I worked in a call center for about a year and a half, and yeah, I'd much rather than digging ditches at minimum wage. And I don't hold suntan very well, so I'd have been fine with
What are the startup costs?
it. You're roughly $40 for the class. I think it's like 45 for the background, so 95. Roughly 100 get your license, and then when you do the contracting with Senior Life, when I send you through, there's a $150 fee. Uh, every bit of that is 100% reimbursable within your first week. You just have to produce.
Can someone start part-time?
Sure, you want to pay your one anyway. You can, if you no, don't do it. No.
What does a typical workday look like?
I guess it depends on where what side of the fence you're starting on. So like you should be making your first contact by 9 a.m. Period. So if you're telesales, your leads should be ready to go that you're calling out on that day. You know who to call. You get your calendar. You know anybody you spoke to the day before. What time you're going to reach out to them. You need to know your limit when you have just dialed and dialed and dialed or talked to whomever. Your 5 minute, your 10 minute, whatever, to decompress. Same thing in the field. The field, you need to be at your first door by 9 o'clock. You live in Columbus and you're working in Franklin County most of the time. You've got a whole lot to deal with, except, I'd take the kids to school. If you're dealing with traffic, you still got to get out a little early. Some people, I just need the time in the car. If the first lead I'm going to see is 10 minutes from my house, I'm going to figure out something to do for an hour before I go. That's just me. I know it, and I don't want the first conversation I have when I walk out this door to be with that client because I'm not mentally ready to have a real conversation with anybody yet. Be ready and prepared for the day. Know what you've got going on. You know, you got kids, or you have a very busy life, a lot of stuff you've got going on in the afternoon. I don't care if it's kids and sports or extracurriculars, or you've got family members, that you're helping take care of that are older, whatever. You know your schedule coming in. You know what your restraints are. So, especially if you've got days where you can't go as hard as you want to, have it locked and loaded. Know exactly what you're doing. Make every minute accountable. And when you're done for the day, you're done. Step away, like for real. Other than that last conversation you have with your upline, and leave the business alone. Decompress, and then within a half an hour of you going to bed, have everything locked, everything ready to go for tomorrow. So you don't have to search. If you got new leads, make sure they're printed off. Any forms you need to take out with you, anything that you were supposed to have prepared first thing, just have it sitting and ready. Don't put a lot of time into it. Just have it ready to go, so that at 9 o'clock you're making that first dial, or 9 o'clock you're able to pull up to that door and everything's ready to go. When I started, there were no apps that we could do this as a telesales option over the phone. It was 100% door knocking, 100%. And my leads were, I had a app that I used called Road Warrior. All the addresses are plugged in there. I don't care if it's the first day that I'm working those leads, it's day 2, day 3, and I started to add other ones back in, whatever. I know where I'm going tomorrow. I know how much time it's going to take me to get to that first house from my front door, so I can leave early enough. And I have those leads in order based on whatever appointments I've got, what time slots. And if I go to 25 doors in a row and nobody's home and I just knock, get in the car and go, I don't have to think about it. I take the front, knock, put it in the back. And try to get in the habit of filling your car up if you're a field agent on the way home. That last stop you make before you're home for the night. So you don't even have to stop at the gas station. Take that extra 10, 15 minutes, whatever. Eliminate as many distractions as you can to set your day up for success.
How many appointments does an agent run in a day? We should be doing 3 to 5 appointments, 3 to 5, 3 to 5 people in front of you in order to hit the numbers to work it out for you to write one application a day. And I'm a numbers guy, 100% the average. I'll never blow smoke. I'm not going to give you my best. But I had an agent that was with me for years. He wasn't always the top producer, but to this day, I don't think anybody can write more average premium than he can. So the bad part for him was he let that dictate how much less he had to work, which is fine. But an average number, new agent walking in the door wants to write one app a day. Okay, we start you on a much, much higher contract than I started on. When I started in the business at Lincoln Heritage, I started at 70%. I came from a company that was well over that, but there was no leads. I didn't know what I was doing. I had no real training. So even, the contract doesn't matter if you're not writing any business. But, even on a 70% contract, if you're averaging one app a day, 6 days a week for roughly $65 a month premium, your first 12 months in the business, you will have made over $100,000. Your 1099 is over 6 figures. We're bringing you in at 40% higher than that. But still, don't let that dictate. It's not, I just want to get over that number. Nobody wants to do that. Take advantage of that commission. But one app a day on average, you should at least be in front of 3 people. There's going to be days you're not going to, you'll have 4 or 5 potential
appointments. You set 2 or 3 the day before, or caught somebody at 9 or walking up the door, come back at 11. Cool. But love the one you're with. If I knock on your door and you're leaving, and no matter how much you tell me, uh, you've been waiting on me to get this done, I'm not going to spend less time with anybody I meet after that for throughout the day. But regardless, 3, 4, 5 face-to-face appointments, interactions, presentations, whatever, because you'll have days where you will just die. One of those days where you're really just cleaning up. You can't close the door, whether it's something you've done, as a new agent, or you've been here 2 years. You'll have a day that you just can't understand how you didn't write anything. But this is a cyclical business. The only way you're done writing business is if you just stop writing business. You stop going to work. You'll accidentally make 60 to 70,000 accidentally as a terrible agent if you just go to work every day. So yeah, if you follow the system, do exactly what I trained you to do. You should write 1 app a day, 6 apps a week. And in general, you need at least 3 to 5 people to average that. And then as time goes on, you get better at your closing ratio. You're sitting with 5 people. You're going to write 4 of them. And then you've got a decision to make. You want to make more money and keep rolling that same cycle, or back off because you know that if you're going to close 80% of the people you sit in front of regardless. So it just is a matter of how much more time do I want to spend not working. And that's the coin toss.
Are most sales done in person or over the phone?
It's 50-50. I'd say the bulk of the agents have been doing this more than 5 years, depending on what agency they're with. They're still field people, field sales, face to face. Most companies have something worked in now where you can do over the phone. I know agents that have been doing this for 12, 15 years have no interest in actually doing full-on telesales. But if a client calls them, they're working in Dayton today, and somebody from Zanesville gives them a call on the phone. Hey, you remember me? I want to add whatever, blah, blah, blah. Back in the day, we would have just had to cut bait and, didn't want to just drive 3 hours across the state to go to where that person is looking for us versus trying to find somebody. Now you can do it over the phone. But I'd say probably 60 to 70% of new agents, because they've seen a bunch of videos, are attempting this as telesales. I think everybody, you're watching this and you're attempting this as a new career. You've never done it before. Have a real in-depth conversation with yourself, with your hiring manager, on what would be the best route for you to go. I've seen the videos, and yeah, telesales is awesome. But I can be door knocking, and with our Leads the Way app, I still have access to live transfers no matter where I'm at, in every state that I'm licensed in. So that shouldn't deter somebody from going out in the field if they really think that they'll excel doing it that way. There's room. There's absolutely room for both. It's just a matter of what you would do better at and which path you think is better for you. I don't know. I'd honestly say it's probably still a little less than 50% overall of the people that are doing it over the phone. A field agent, they're still writing 90% of the business, if not more, face to face. It's the people on the back end that reach out that want to add increase. Granny doesn't. She was just getting ready to start cleaning the house. Well, there's a lot of critters, on the couch that you don't want to take home with you. You get to figuring that out, and if you know that you'd be more comfortable sitting in your car calling them than standing the whole time you're at the house to make sure nothing crawls up your pant leg, then yeah, you'll do that over the phone. You've got the access to do that, but really it just depends on what route makes the most sense for the agent.
Do agents work from home?
Yes. Yeah. There's no office. Never need to have one. Especially field agent. It'd be stupid for me to plant somewhere in the middle of anywhere and require an agent to leave their house, come there, get situated, and then go to where they're going. That's no, you work from home.
Do they travel a lot?
They can, depends on what they want to do. You know, when I got in the business, we took a certain amount of leads every single week, and I learned within the first 3-4 weeks, not everybody out of that lead pack that I took this week am I going to be able to sit down with, and even the ones that I catch may not be available till next week. Well, my manager sent me brand new leads on Monday, and it was an hour away from them. You know, and so finally I just said, hey, where can you send me that has a lot of leads, and most people here at this organization at least aren't going there, and that's where I started going. So, yeah, the first 3-4 years of my career, I was working in Southern Ohio, you know, and it just kind of became a habit. You know, I've got clients in almost every county at this point, except for a few of them up north. But the bulk of the business in the beginning, I wrote in Southern Ohio. So yeah, I put a lot of miles on. But we have the ability to drop your mailers where you want to go. I have, you know, and then in between doing those mailers, you know, we can get you, you know, other leads coming in the interim, in the market that you want to be in. You know what I mean? So some people have to, or they want to, work as close to home as possible. You know, it makes sense if it makes sense. I mean, just for the reason that, you know, I don't want to travel more than a half hour from home. You're not, if you put too many limitations on yourself, I'm not going to make 300 calls as a telesales agent. If I got to make more than 200 of them, this isn't going to work. Don't put limitations on yourself. Just be willing to do the work that's required. Figure out how, just set yourself a goal and decide you're going to beat it. You know, you're going to get to the point where you don't have to rely on that high number on either side. Either way, you know, if you work close, eventually, you know, if you try to stay in just the same county, you're going to start, you know, 8-9 months, maybe a year in, you're going to, you know, a good portion of the leads you'll be getting back every single week are going to be people that you talked to 6 months ago, a year ago. And that's not a bad thing. You know, they send it in, you're ready, you know, but it's just depends, you know, if you're a field agent, you're going to drive time. If you're telesales, no further than it takes you to go get whatever coffee you drink in the morning.
How flexible is the schedule?
It can be as flexible as you want it to be. But this is a situation where you've got to wear two hats, right? You've got to be agent and manager or owner, right? So you as the agent, you want the flexibility. You as the owner, you hired yourself to work. You did this for a reason, right? Whether it's income, right? Lifestyle, either way. So if out of the gate you're focusing heavy on this, no, yeah, you don't have to call me to let me know you're going to lunch at 3:00 or that you're taking 2 days off because you need the middle day. You don't have to call me for that. You're not paying my bills. You are. Nobody is coming to save you. So it's flexible. But if every day, every week, you're digging into your flexibility bucket, you've got to be able to wear your manager cap, your owner cap. You're owner of your own agency. You have to wear two hats every day that you do this job. And as an owner, if you owned a donut shop and this person that needed this flexible schedule, you hired them to be there from, I don't know, 8 to 4 every day. But every day something came up and they couldn't be there till 8:30, 8:45. My mom needs a gallon of milk. I got to take an extra 45 minutes at lunch so I can go get that and her meds. And I just might, yeah, no, you're not. You won't make it. You won't make it. You have to earn the right to use that flexibility, and you're the only person that can decide when you've earned it.
How much time is spent meeting clients versus paperwork?
There's no paperwork.
What tools do the agency use to manage leads and clients?
So there's all the leads come in through the Leads the Way app. So anybody that's a live transfer, you select that, all their information pops up in your app right away. And then other clients that are submitting information online, they saw an ad and submitted it. Those pop up all throughout the day as well. And at any given point, you have the ability to grab those. And then on the portal, any of the mailers that you get are dumped into there. You print them off from there every day. And that's where your agent pipeline and portal and your book, everything's in there. It's updated every day. You see anybody that's pending. Anybody, you get texts, you get emails when somebody misses a payment. But it might. I got the email. Do I remember to go back and check it? So you're checking that every morning. Oh, I got to go to Westerville. I got somebody in Westerville that fell off or is about to fall off because they missed their payment 2 weeks ago. So I'll call them, stop by, do what I can to get them back on the book. So and all that's right on the phone. I mean, if you got a cell phone, you have access to it. So there's the Leads the Way app is the application. You're plugging everything in. That's all accessible through your portal. And then there's the one other, the secure app where you're plugging in your applications.
The job more sales or more service?
50-50. One of my mentors told me this when I got into the business. 50% of the money you make is sales. And the other 50% is the service. And sometimes it's one or two times. Just a hiccup, this or that, a headache. Family member tried to convince them otherwise, whatever. You have a conversation with them, you're done. Right? But half of your job is service. And it's nowhere near as difficult to service a client as it is to get a new one. If you're doing only the sales portion, you're essentially just taking a loan on half your income and your residual income on the big chunk of your clients. You're never going to see it. So, which is why we're doing this. You get in life insurance because of the residual income on the back end. At some point, everybody wants to settle down. They want to slow down. They want to retire. They want to, live off of the money that's coming in they earned years ago. That's the whole purpose of doing it, is to grow that back end number. So if you're not taking care of those people, you're starting over every single month. You may as well go somewhere that pays you something amazing up front because they don't give you any of your back end money.
What does success mean?
Successful week is up to you. Okay, your goals are your goals. What I feel is successful for me daily and the lifestyle, the things that I want. What my version of success does not, or almost never will, match yours. So success is, did you leave it all on the table? Did you do everything you could? Whether you hit the numbers that you were supposed to hit that month, or that week, if you need to write $5,000 a week in production, it's doable. Saturday, Sunday, if you're looking at the fact that you only wrote 1,200, and Friday, you're like, well, it's 3, 4 o'clock, and I'm always home at 3, 4 o'clock on Fridays, but I didn't hit my numbers, so I didn't call and do anything on Saturday either. You tell me if that's success. Did you hit your numbers? Did you hit them early? Did you set a goal? Even if you came short, how close to it did you get? Was it like right there? And if something fell through last minute, did you do everything you could to hit it? Was there if Saturday evening, whether you hit your number or you doubled the number you wanted to do, if you can't go back and look at the time that you had available, time you scheduled yourself, owner cap, scheduled your employer your employee to go do this. If that whole time was spent on activity that produces income, then you won, even if it doesn't feel like it. And especially for a new agent, it sucks when you have those days or those weeks. But I can tell you in the long run, it's worth it, and it averages out. A $20,000, $25,000 a month producer, they blank. There's days they don't write anything, and they're not usually always they're not the best. They just do this more times than the people that write 10.
How do you find licensed agents?
So 100% commission, right? But 10% contract. Okay, so that means this $1,000 premium is going to pay you $1,100. $1,100 is your commission. Your client, more than likely, is paying you a monthly premium. It's like roughly $85 a month for that $1,000. Okay, so they pay. So in insurance, you have what's called an advance. Okay, so you have a 60% advance on that, which is $660. Okay, so they wrote you a check for $85, $1,000 a year. Your commission's $1,100. You're going to get a deposit of $660. Okay, we still owe you your back end residual, your pay through, whatever, $440. Okay, this money here is what builds up over time. Okay, there's no guy there. It's just me. The 440 is what pays you on the back end. Okay, so that you'll start getting 4, 5, 6 months down the road, and it's paid out over the course of the remainder of that 12-month time. Okay, so this number in reality, we talked about your BAM. Okay, your bare ass minimum, right? If it's $3,000 a month, this we're going to make come out of here. Okay, so $3,000 a month. We know worst case, we need you to write 5 apps like that to put the $3,000 in your bank account to pay the bills that you were paying before you started this. Okay, this is your salary that you're building for yourself. Okay, so that 440 divided by 12. What is that? It's 12 times 35. I don't know. What is it? $36 a month. Okay, but that 440, you start tracking that on every single policy, and that's at the end of the year, if you know that you want so you do this 10 times this month, you've written a $10,000 a month, you've put $4,400 into your annual back end. Okay, so if your salary, say you left a job to come here at $45,000, you do this for 10 months. Now you're going to start depositing $4,500 at the beginning of the month. Or pay through in your residual. That's before your residual. That's before your year 2 kicks in. That dumps on top of this number. Okay, so this is your short-term money, the advance. This is your retirement, your long-term, your residual, your investment. Okay, you're a contractor, you're self-employed, you're building your own insurance business. There is no 401k. Use that. Put it in something. Do everything you can out of the gate to live off of this. Never touch that. You can do that. It's hard. Doesn't matter if you needed it or you just got really used to spending it. Either way, the less you rely on this, it'll build and build and build. And this is what makes millionaires. This is what keeps gas in the car.
How quickly can a new agent earn their first commission?
First day. You earn your first commission first day. Advances are paid same day.
What is the typical income potential?
Sky's the limit. Yeah, no, I'm not. I won't blow smoke. It is, but depends on how hard you work, what you want, what you got to do. Reverse engineering these numbers is not that difficult. You're still putting in the at bats. Like I said, if you're a terrible agent, you're going to work every day and you're doing what we tell you to do, you should fall into $60,000 to $70,000. One app a day is not outrageous. I know that if you don't have an appointment scheduled, if you're terrified to get on the phone, you won't call anybody. So you're taking 20 to 30 leads, brand new, hitting the road, first door at 9. On average, every 6th door you knock on, you'll find a live body. 1 out of every 4 of those people, you're going to get in the door. Worst case, not even average, that's the absolute worst case. And if you talk to 3, you'll write 1 deal. So it's every 6 and you're worse, go to 7. You knock at 21 doors, you should have gotten in front of 3 people, you write 1 application. That's simple.
Are there bonuses or incentives?
You need bonuses at 110%. And you're making already 6 figures. When you're ready for that, build an agency.
How much do top agents earn?
7 figures.
How predictable is the income once established?
It's just like anything else that's repetition based. Okay, if you're going through the motions, doing everything right. So, that's the beauty of this business, and this is why I don't have to have the same definition of success as the agents do. Right? Success to an agent can be, I left this job making 60 and I struggled. If I can make 80 grand to 100 grand a year, my wife wouldn't have to work part time. And I could afford to do everything we need to do vacation-wise, not put it on a credit card, not struggle to pay it off. And my kids, I'd never have to stress about getting them new cleats, new gear, whatever, right? In the first year, that $100,000, they may spend every waking moment in the field or on the phones. But just like everything you've ever done since you've learned to walk, you get better. If making 75 grand a year and you only work 3 days a week to do it, and you take off 10 days every quarter to go golf and somewhere, you have no issues, right? If you're happy with everything and that's successful to you, then great, let's get you there.
How long does it take to build that strong income?
It depends. Depends on what that strong income is. Your residuals, your back end, before that's anything substantial, 6-7 months. You've got to be gung ho. You've got to be pedal to the metal the first year. Like, regardless of what you can commit yourself to, if you legit are saying, I can do 12 hours a day, Monday through Thursday. I'm going to do 5 on Friday to clean up and follow up. And then Saturday for the first year, I'm going to guarantee every other Saturday. And the optional Saturdays for backup in case I'm falling short. Plan on that. You built that schedule for yourself. Plan on that. Not everybody has to work those hours. That's where the reverse engineering comes into play.
My first goal for every agent that comes on board with me is making sure you can pay your bills. If you tell me you want to make $20,000 a month, I can show you how that's done as well out of the gate without a residual income. Realistically, what does it take to keep your bills paid so you don't have to stress about doing this? I can tell you exactly how many phone calls, exactly how many appointments, exactly how many presentations, how many leads that's going to require on an average number. You'll adjust your own data within those first 30 days, and we'll be able to pinpoint exactly how many door knocks how much money you make for every door you knock, how much money you make for every time you dial the phone. You'll see the numbers. You'll know where you're at. You'll know why it has adjusted. Again, the only way you've written your last policy is if you just stop going to work.
You mentioned residual income. What exactly is residual income?
You get a percentage of the payment that the client makes, they pay on this policy every month until they cancel or they're dead. They pass away. Sorry. Your residual income is that money that's coming in as the back end part of your contract. Okay, so if you're working, if you're doing Uber Eats, DoorDash, and you brought my kids a bunch of sandwiches this morning. Now imagine that no matter what driver gets that forever, it was the first time I'd ever logged in and ordered food on it. And then for the rest of my life, anytime I use Uber Eats, you get $1 every single time I order. That's residual income.
Can agents build a long-term business?
Yeah. Not everybody wants to build an agency. Not everybody wants to take on what that entails. Some people are amazing at training and working with agents, but the career is there. If you want to help people, I can only spend so much time servicing families, writing policies, whether it's over the phone or face to face. If on average an agent's writing 30 apps a month, that's 30 families on a monthly. That's 360 families a year that agents helped lighten that financial burden on the worst day of their life. But if I've trained 10 agents that literally duplicate what I've done. Now I'm 360 families that I've helped protect on a monthly basis. Some people just don't want to deal with that. And you can still make $1 million on your own pen. You don't have to run an agency. So it just depends on what you want to do, what your goals are for the business.
Where do final expense leads come from?
The demographic, again, 55 and up.
What makes a good final expense lead?
The agent.
How do you build trust with clients?
Training.
What do clients care about most?
Payment.
Are final expense clients difficult to work with?
No. They're amazing. I've never had more fun with anybody dealing with our clients.
How do agents handle objections?
Training. Role playing. Call your upline.
How is the closing rate for most agents? What is the closing rate for most agents?
You should be closing 50 to 60% of the people out of the gate. Done everything I tell you to do. You show up on Monday and you haven't read your presentation. You've already told me what I have to deal with.
How do referrals work in this industry?
They're yours.